If you're studying SAP plant maintenance, you know how easy it is to get lost in the details. But to really get ahead, you've got to see the big picture. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Connect all the dots so you can really master these concepts.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Seriously, understanding the why behind S/4HANA makes learning the how so much easier. You have to remember this isn't just another software update, it's a completely different way of thinking about how a business should run.
So here's how we're going to break it all down for you. We're starting way up high with the big picture vision. Then we'll get into the key technologies that make it all happen. And finally, we'll look at the real-world choices companies have to make about where to run their systems.
First up, we need to unpack this huge idea that's driving pretty much everything SAP does these days, the intelligent enterprise. And I know it sounds like a buzzword, but trust me, it's the core philosophy behind it all.
So what does that really mean? Well, it's this vision for a business that doesn't just sit around and react to problems. Instead, it anticipates them. It responds proactively. For asset managers, predictive maintenance is the perfect example of this in action. The whole point is to use your data to work smarter, not just harder.
This whole vision is really built on three big pillars. First, you've got the intelligent suite. These are the core apps you're in every day. Then, there are the intelligent technologies, things like AI and the Internet of Things, that make those apps smart. And finally, tying it all together is the digital platform, the foundation that manages all the data and lets everything run smoothly.
All right, so how does SAP actually build this thing? Well, it all comes down to three of the most important acronyms you'll hear: BTP, HANA, and S/4HANA. Understanding how these three fit together is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so think of BTP as your ultimate toolbox for innovation. This is that digital platform pillar we were just talking about. It lets companies build new things, connect all their different systems, and really innovate, all without messing with their core operations. It's a platform that runs in the cloud, on services you already know, like AWS or Azure.
Now, HANA. HANA is the super fast engine under the hood. The key thing to get here is that it's an in-memory database. That means it's pulling data straight from super fast RAM instead of a slower disk drive. This is what makes real-time analytics possible and lets the whole data structure be way simpler.
And that brings us to the star of the show, S/4HANA. This is the modern business suite, that intelligent suite pillar, and it is built from the ground up to run on that incredibly powerful HANA engine. It's the successor to the classic SAP ERP system you might have used before.
So, what's the big deal? What are the actual benefits here? Well, because it runs on HANA, the data model is just radically simplified. We're talking fewer tables, no more redundant data. This shrinks your data footprint, and when you pair that with a modern user interface called Fiori, the whole system just feels faster, simpler, and way more intuitive to use. Okay, so we know what S/4HANA is. But now for the million-dollar question. Where is this system actually going to live? And believe me, this choice has massive implications for cost, flexibility, and who has to do the maintenance.
At its core, the choice really boils down to owning versus renting. It's that simple. With on-premise, you buy it all, you own it all, you manage it all yourself. With the cloud, you're basically renting it. You pay a subscription, and the provider takes care of all the heavy lifting in the background.
This is such a great way to think about it. The public cloud is like an apartment building. You and a bunch of other companies, the tenants, are all sharing the same building, the same infrastructure. This makes it super efficient and affordable. And the best part? The landlord, or the provider, handles all the maintenance. And on the flip side, you have the private cloud. This is like owning your own single-family house. The whole place is yours. You get dedicated resources, which means you have total control to customize and change things however you want. It's more responsibility for sure, but for a lot of big companies, that control is absolutely essential.
This slide really maps out the whole spectrum. You can start completely on-premise, where you do everything. The first step into the cloud is usually IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. You're renting the servers, but you still manage the software. Then there's PaaS, Platform as a Service, where you just manage your apps. And at the far end is SaaS, Software as a Service, where you pretty much just log in and use it. The provider handles everything else.
But here's the thing. What if one size doesn't fit all? For huge global companies, it's rarely that simple. They often need something a little more sophisticated than just picking one single model.
And that is exactly where two-tier ERP comes into play. It's a really powerful strategy where you mix and match. You get the best of both worlds, right? You can have that deep control and customization of a private system at headquarters combined with the speed and standardization of a public cloud for all your smaller divisions.
And you see this strategy play out in a few common ways. The classic one is the headquarters and subsidiary model. But you might also see a specific department, like finance, run as its own central service in the cloud. Or you could even have an entire ecosystem model, where a company brings all its partners and suppliers onto one standard platform.
So, as you keep going with your studies, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. For the future of asset management, we're talking IoT sensors, predictive maintenance, all that cool stuff. What's really the better path forward? Is it the fast innovation and standards of the public cloud, or is it the total control and customization of a private one? There's no easy answer, and it's the puzzle that businesses are trying to solve right now. Thanks for joining me.